we're not focusing on the real issue. If we have global cooling and we have the rush for biofuels, you will compromise the world grain market. As soon as speculators get a hint that that's what the future is, you will get massive speculation in commodities. And this is what's driving the world food price up. Is that what is being told in the press? No. You're being told that it's because China is pulling in more grain for meat production or whatever. Or that biofuels have kicked in. They've hardly kicked in yet. What's really kicked in is as soon as you realize the price of wheat has doubled in the last year, then the speculators, international investment funds, and even the British public, through the financial pages, get your money out of property, put it into commodities. So what happens? You purchase a ton of wheat now, and you hold on to it because you know in a year's time you're going to double your money. And all of those people trying to purchase the wheat is what's driving the price up. Wheat, rice, all grains, soya, everything is going up. And people are starving. People are rioting. Now, if the global cooling continues, it will affect the northern hemisphere much more strongly. And the northern hemisphere has a food surplus which feeds 67 countries which cannot feed themselves. We are heading very rapidly to a point where somebody is going to have to decide who dies. And when we were eating in the restaurant last night at this conference, I said to my friends, here we're eating rice. There'll be a time when we feel guilty about that because we can afford to buy that rice. And millions of people on the planet will not be able to eat because they cannot afford to buy the food. And for the first time in history, the World Food Programme has issued an appeal, said, we've run out, not of food, the food's there to buy, we've run out of money because it's too expensive. They have no food to provide their food aid because they've run out of money, and they've put out an appeal, an unprecedented appeal for $500 million now to continue that food aid program. So we're in very serious territory. There have been high-level delegations to our Prime Minister and to the European Union to back off from the biofuels program, which I've been warning about for 3 or 4 years. And they're simply being told, we can't. It's international law. This is a very, very serious situation. And it's all down to this myth of global warming, and what's really sad for me as an environmental scientist is that my former allies, Friends of the Earth, Greenpeace, the World Wildlife Fund, even the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds and the Woodland Trust, they've bought into this model with no criticism whatsoever. They haven't reviewed the science. They've accepted authoritarian science. They've accepted a higher authority. I even saw a booklet from Friends of the Earth on global warming, quoting Tony Blair, the government's chief scientist, who also is a rabid believer in genetically modified organisms and nuclear power, the president of the Royal Society. Since when have any of those sources ever been right about anything? Lead in petrol, acid rain, low-level radiation. They've never taken the lead on anything. And here they are being quoted by Friends of the Earth. The situation is very, very dire. And another perspective on it is you have the environmental groups and the campaign groups. You have even the World Development Lobby, Oxfam, Christian Aid buying into this model. And you have the journalists who I do respect, the environmental journalists, the left liberal press, the Guardian, the Independent. They've all bought the model. They've all been putting out scary, scary climate story, and they cannot back off from it. And so there's this kind of collusion with the scientific model. And that scientific model is upheld by thousands of scientists' jobs and PhD theses and institutes that have been set up over the last 10 or 15 years. It's a vested interest.